Well, I'm all for folks requesting raises. Let me begin by saying that. Well, I don't mind if WNBA players ask for pay increases. The WNBA is having a lot of success right now. I don't give a damn about the last 24 or 25 years. Beginning to pay off as an investment, I guess. They made a statement this week by wearing t-shirts that read, "You better pay us." However, Kelsey Plum, for LA, had to make fun of Caitlin Clark rather than simply leave it at that. Just now, Colin Cowherd completely destroyed Kelsey. Plum was not even close on national television. Colin Cowherd. I wonder if Caitlin Clark was supported by more people. I suppose the owners would respect it if there was a more united front supporting Caitlin Clark rather than opposing Caitlin Clark. When the owners enter the negotiating room, I doubt they will be staring at the players and merely laughing. Took a cheap attack at the one person who is responsible for the WNBA's enormous development. Even though Caitlin Clark is changing the rules of women's basketball and preserving the league's future, I really believe that it's not. Kelsey Plum's statement was simply not wise. I'm positive that she's joking. For example, I don't believe this is malicious. Not only that, but I'm very sure this isn't done with malice. It's just an extremely awful joke, in my opinion. Not even a horrible joke. A joke that is misinterpreted. Cowherd, however, would not have it. You'll be astounded by what he said about privilege, jealousy, and the golden goose. So let's dissect everything. A protest was the first step. Players in the WNBA wore t-shirts calling for equitable treatment and higher compensation. Definitely a just reason. However, Kelsey Plum made the decision to take things a step further during this time of solidarity. 0 members of Team Clark were present. She emphasized Clark's absence from the meeting, stating, quote, "That was a very powerful moment. Well, as gamers at least, we were unaware that that would occur. I suppose it was a real surprise." But the t-shirt Just United Front was decided this morning when we had a meeting. The purpose of the meeting was not to betray, but none of the Clark team members were there. Boy, oh boy. Colin Cowherd jumped on the microphone right away. "Why are you attacking the golden goose?" he replied. That's exactly what he said. The golden goose. However, why do you try to win the golden goose? Clark, Caitlin. Prior to her arrival, you two were traveling on one of those airlines that charged for a cup of water. One airline is the one whose aircraft have the color of a highlighter. You're flying in private now. Don't discuss your problems with others, okay? You went from a Motel 6 in a dubious area of town to a 4-season hotel in the downtown area. Whether you like it or not, Caitlin Clark is the one making money for everyone, so stop talking. Additionally, as stated by Cowherd, Plum and others are displaying a total lack of appreciation. The analogy used by Cowherd was harsh. According to him, Motel 6 used to house WNBA players. One player is the reason they're living it up at the 4 Seasons. Right now, not to mention that these players were traveling on low-cost flights that required them to pay. For water just a few seasons ago, they're on private planes now. Okay, what does that signify? The league was founded by Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, you can't fight for more money as Caitlin can. You've been in the league for a long time, and the main reason for the revenue generation is Caitlin Clark. If you are not producing products, you cannot make more money. If you have made money this year, ma'am, you are losing money because you owe the NBA money. You can simply lose and not pay the NBA anything. To be honest, the first 20 years and the first 10 years of your profitability must be returned to the NBA. You can't simply say, "I've been squandering your money for 20 years. And now I'm finally making a profit this year because of one player and she get injured." Isn't no one watching it anymore? So what exactly went wrong? The herd of cows didn't merely speculate. He brought the receipts. A 500% rise in sales of products. A 40% increase in league attendance. There is currently a waiting list for season tickets for the Indiana Fever, a team that was once a total financial failure. Listen, half of the money goes to NBA players. WNBA players earn 9%, yet merchandise sales have increased by 500% in recent years. Attendance has increased by 40%. They will therefore receive a rise. No question exists. It doesn't really matter to me that they haven't made much money or lost much over the last 25 years. I don't give a damn. They are currently on a heater and engaged in a negotiation. Caitlin Clark, however, came in 9th place in the Player All-Star poll, the 9th. The herd of cows was shocked. According to him, the league's top attraction, the individual, the players who benefited from her success, who were in charge of sold-out arenas and broke records in merchandise sales, ranked her 10th. In the player voting, Caitlin Clark came in 9th place. In fact, when it came to player voting for the All-Star game, she came in 2nd to one of her own teammates. There are no limits to the pettiness. However, it's intriguing. The WNBA players were blaming each other for years. People are sexist, they said. It's sexist in the media. We're not getting a promotion. We don't get enough credit. They don't like the way it looks after they receive the Golden Goose. Indiana girl, Iowa girl, who knows though? I have been saying this for years. Ride the wave when it comes. You have no idea how it appears. Don't resist. This clearly has a racial component. The WNBA players simply dislike the way the wave appears. Similar, they desired to take a private flight. They desired greater popularity. They will receive the better deal they sought in the CBA. They desired arenas to be sold out. They succeeded. He's correct too. Stats don't matter in that kind of ranking. It has to do with politics. It has to do with resentment. It was shown as petty jealousy by the Cowherd. He contrasted the circumstances of Caitlin Clark with those of other generational celebrities, veterans, like LeBron James. Influence, even though they didn't enjoy the attention he received when he joined the NBA. Everything changed when Tiger Woods took over golf and the tour adapted. Tiger Woods changed the PGA Tour in this way. Although he increased the purses in every event and made many people wealthy, Tiger did earn the most money. The secret was that, despite losing 1 million viewers from the previous season, this all-star rating shows that she has improved the league as a whole. This league is currently a subject on every sports network and every sports show. However, some players in the WNBA continue to hold on to the past. The Cowherd spoke it plainly. You disliked flying on a tight budget. You're private with her? Now you live in luxury. Give up whining. One airline is the one whose aircraft have the color of a highlighter. You're flying in private now, all right? If you're staying at the Motel 6 with your band and you add a band member, and now that you're with Rich Carlton, don't talk about your problems. You went from a Motel 6 in a dubious area of town to a Four Seasons hotel in the heart of the commercial district. Put an end to your conversation. Then he let the hammer fall. The Michael Jordan analogy. Caitlin Clark is being violently harassed on the court, just like Michael Jackson. She's still in control, just like Michael Jackson. Recall the Detroit Pistons' notorious Jordan rules. The entire plan was to physically beat him down. The WNBA is here. Caitlin Clark's skills have improved rapidly. For Michael Jordan, it's similar to the end of his first or third year. She has quickly become quite skilled. She will embarrass you, therefore you must either double-team her or throw a body on her. She's making 33-foot shots. And the result of that is what transpired last night. This is what MJ experienced. In every offensive metric, she ranks first and second, compared to Steph Curry's first MVP season. She is making more three-pointers this season, and you're embarrassed by her game. Now, however, Clark is experiencing the same thing. She is being severely fouled. In every game, she is targeted, hit, and shoved. She's overcoming it and emerging stronger, just like Michael Jackson. The Indiana. Fever anticipated this, according to the Cowherd. They acquired Sophie Cunningham, one of the league's toughest players, as a result. They were aware of what they were getting into. By the way, in this league, they brought Sophie Cunningham over in a trade for a reason. And I'll get to this in a moment. At 6 years old, she is the youngest black belt in Mizzou's history. They saw this puppy coming and brought her over to keep Caitlin Clark safe. The Fever did, but the league isn't sure what to do. Therefore, you must once more place a body on her. You must get down on your knees when an offensive player humiliates you, Steph, Shaq, MJ, Caitlin, or anybody else in basketball history high school. College, the WNBA, or the NBA, what would you do? She cannot be trapped. She will slouch through it. Must put her in a body. She is their equivalent of the enforcer who was sent in to keep Jordan safe. Charles Oakley. The Fever took precautions to keep her safe since they knew they had a star. However, the most important lesson from Cowherd's tirade has nothing to do with statistics or birds. It had to do with eyesight. Consider this. This is the worst Caitlin Clark will ever be. Record books are already being rewritten by her. Even though she is just getting started, she is already attracting millions of viewers. It was the second highest rated WNBA All-Star game ever, even without Caitlin Clark. And it is a significant difference. There are two things that are obvious. Records will be broken if Caitlin Clark participates in the All-Star game. However, due to her popularity, it will now break records and be the second highest ever. Even if she doesn't. Only defeated while she participated, and that counts. Veteran players would be left behind if they don't join the team right away. The Cowherd warned. Leah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull are among the players that are aware of what is taking place. Instead, than fighting the tsunami, they're riding it. And this is definitely a wave. It's a kind that permanently switches leagues. According to Cowherd, one player, Caitlin Clark, is the reason the WNBA is finally turning the corner financially that it has been pursuing for decades. He even made a comparison to the UFC. Conor McGregor was responsible for bringing the UFC into the mainstream of American sports. For the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is doing the same thing. This is the point at which Cowherd made his most audacious forecast. The future of the WNBA depends on Caitlin Clark. The numbers don't lie, regardless of how some players feel about it. Clark is at the center of everything: TV deals, sponsorship money, sold-out games, jersey sales, and fan interaction. Thus, when Kelsey Plum and other veterans, Cowherd had one message: quit biting the hand that feeds you. They were criticizing the only player who made that success possible. He's not claiming that Clark is flawless. He's not arguing that other athletes don't merit greater compensation or fame. But this is exactly what he is saying. One person who adds value to everyone is not torn down. The golden goose is not sabotaged, because the spotlight will disappear. If Clark leaves, the money does too. The progress does too. The Cowherd's tirade wasn't limited to standing up for Caitlin Clark. The goal was to reveal a poisonous chaos mentality that might cost the league all it is now beginning to establish. Future is here, and her name is Caitlin Clark. Therefore, the jealousy, the small-minded taunts, and the opposition to change must end. To express your support for the player leading the league, leave Golden Goose in the comments if you're still watching. To ensure you don't miss a beat, please like, subscribe, and enable notifications if you want more unfiltered breakdowns like this one. Till the next one, see you. Caitlin Clark appears on a live episode of A Touch More with Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe during All-Star Weekend. It's also mentioned that Caitlin Clark isn't shy about sharing her opinions. Hope the WNBA as a whole was paying attention. Based on the interview's platform, I can be certain that WNBA dump divers were paying attention. Normal folks don't give a damn, so I can be certain that they weren't listening. Not even a basketball was necessary for Caitlin Clark to shock the World Clark didn't hold back when she went live with Sue Bird at WNBA All-Star Weekend, which was her most audacious moment to date. All you have to do is whisper. Why did they all say it that way? Really? What are you saying? Don't lie to us, please. This was Clark at her best, unvarnished, and it altered everything from calling out fake news reports to taking credit for her popular meme moment to hurling sarcastic jabs at her own coach. But what specifically did she say that surprised everyone in the room, struck back at her detractors, and completely changed the media landscape? Let's dissect it. She does make an appearance on a live recording of Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe's podcast, A Touch More. In fact, I mentioned this in a couple of previous videos. They mockingly announced her as the favorite of every referee while playing the music that the former Bulls would walk out to, complete with extravagant flair. The tone for the remainder of the podcast was thus somewhat established by that. Additionally, the entire incident gave us a great deal of inside information about some of Clark's more well-known incidents and her innermost thoughts, because the world pays attention when Caitlin Clark talks from the heart. Let's set the scene first. A Touch More, Sue Bird's live podcast was jam-packed. There was a stir among the fans. After being passed over for the All-Star game, Caitlin Clark took center stage as the hometown hero of Indiana. She only lives a few states away, and she enjoys a good chi and will wash it down with a sip. She enjoys playing golf at Crooked Stick, playing Scrabble, attending outdoor concerts at the Ruoff. Every referee loves her, 'cause she is a boss. She also dresses like a CEO. Greetings from the Kane Clark Show. Come on, applause, and you could sense it as soon as she picked up the microphone. This wasn't a PR-safe situation. Caitlin was let loose with this. She wasn't trying to be kind. Her purpose was to rectify the situation, and she did precisely that. I'm hoping the WNBA players were paying attention. Perhaps for the first time. In my life, the WNBA players need to hear the wisdom that the Roof from Waterloo shared yesterday, so I hope they had their ears open and their yappers shut. Let's begin with the WNBA's most well-known shot. One of the more absurd headline-grabbing stories that Caitlin Clark rejected the NBA three-point competition because she didn't want to shoot from a rack was directly targeted by Clark. Her reply was famous, sardonic, and deadly. Whoever wrote the piece, I'm not sure, probably didn't feel very good about themselves after I did it. There was a recent rumor, hoax, or whatever you want to call it, which was really stupid of you to turn it down because you didn't want to shoot off a rack. What is it like? It's beyond me where these folks get their ideas from. Actually, though, I'm intrigued. Honestly, it doesn't always happen that way. We're even wearing podcast microphones. Yes, you don't always have the chance to say, no, that was a lie. Additionally, they should be fact-checked and called out. That must have felt pleasant. Yes, that felt good. Whoever wrote the piece, I'm not sure, probably didn't feel very good about themselves after I did it. I'm not sure who their source was, but whoever it was incorrect. They didn't have one, though. Oh, they must not have had a source. Yes. Perhaps I would rather fire off a pass and catch off like a catch. But that's what any basketball player would say. And it's a three-point contest. Everyone launches Arik. That's the way it is. She blatantly referred to it as a falsehood, said that the media had made it up, and she verified it live while grinning and without hesitation. One thing became evident in that moment. The false tales don't appeal to Caitlin Clark. She is tired of complying with fans and the media circus. Even worse is when people use comments from strangers on social media to form their own opinions about themselves. Social media is a myth. Individuals will utter statements on Twitter that they would never make in person. I enjoyed every moment of it. When Sue Bird mentioned Clark's now iconic performance against the New York Liberty, it wasn't even the spice portion, the one where she lit it up from deep, you know? Caitlin didn't mince words. In a lighthearted manner, she described how she finds her groove. I'm likely to launch a third if I hit 2 consecutive hits. I had to get it up, even if the coach might not have suggested it. The 3 threes in the most recent New York Liberty game were like heaters. In fact, I believe the Liberty game to be a greater illustration. Could you please explain? The response I received to this question wasn't exactly the same as the one asking what it's like to be in the zone. However, when you feel that this heating is getting closer, do you know what's going on for people who will never experience it? Could you describe this to us? In college, my first reaction to every game was that I felt like I was on a heater. Well, more professionally, I would say, like in that Liberty game. Feel like as a shooter, when you see 2 or 3 go in, I'm probably going to launch a third, which may not be a chef's recommendation, but I have to get it up. And if the third goes in, you're just hot. As a shooter like you, I believe your confidence only keeps growing, simply slipping out of your hand more easily. The rim appears large. The coach did not advise it. The crowd erupted when she made a subtle, cheeky remark about her own head coach, Stephanie White. It wasn't said maliciously by Clark. She spoke with assurance, poise, and swagger. That's how you keep the room on your side and throw shade. Additionally, it revealed the rising tension between coach and athlete, whether she meant it as a joke or not. All season long, a narrative has been simmering beneath the surface. You guys, this Kane Clark versus Stephanie White situation could get ugly very quickly. I must be honest with all of you. The polar is what Stephanie White wants to play. Caitlin Clark wants to play the opposite way. This is where Clark completely changes the course of events. Caitlin Clark, do you think you know her? Rethink your thought. She talked candidly about being misinterpreted. How the world ignores her silly, humorous side while witnessing her fire on the court. I'm just comic relief in the locker room, and people don't realize it on the floor. She is a fireball, but off it, she keeps things lighthearted by making jokes and giggling at memes in the group chat. Indeed, she talked about the freeze frame that became a full-fledged meme and the viral face-off moment with Ryan Howard of Atlanta. That's Goofy you're referring to. Caitlin is silly. There seems to be a new meme of me doing something in every game. One is excellent. I have no idea what happened. I don't. Yes, I do. What kind of game is this? I don't know. Atlanta. You were the target of Ryan Howard's brutal treatment. I said, I don't give a damn. I'm not afraid of you. You say, yes, indeed. Indeed, I did say that. I'm not afraid of you at all. Who are you? Yes, say that. Yes, I did believe I was tough, but this is how I actually appeared. To be honest, you don't look your best in the freeze frame. It's not fair. You? No, I didn't look like that in real life, did I? No. In actual life, you weren't that silly. This is excellent. You said in real time, let's _go. I'm right here, you know? This is my entire face. My hair is a complete mess. I was just struck. Yes, the pony still wasn't fixed by you. Oh, I got it. Like a pro, Clark laughed it off. You don't scare. Me, who are you? It was funny in addition to being self-aware. She also claimed that her ponytail was all messed up and burnt her own hair. The WNBA is in dire need of someone with that kind of personality, requires more. However, this interview was more than simply lighthearted banter. Clark dug deep. She discussed how social media presents a distorted image of her, and how she maintains her composure by concentrating on the young supporters in the stadium rather than the ones who are hiding behind Twitter profiles. You realize how many people genuinely support you when you go to arenas. In my opinion, you must first keep in mind that social media is merely a distorted representation of reality. Even for me, as you may not always understand, something occasionally feels like it's not reality. Even if you're in a situation where people will either love you or dislike you, you know? However, I believe that the times I attend arenas are the ones that truly make me realize how many people are there to love and support you. Similar to the young girls and boys. Those aren't the folks that care about every choice you make or every statement you make on social media. However, I also Feel like I'm just trying to show up each and every day. Be myself. Approach it that way and simply be who I truly am. What sets Caitlyn apart is her vulnerability and honesty. She isn't a brand. She doesn't hesitate to express that she is a human being. Let's discuss that incident involving Taylor Swift. The internet was ablaze with theories after the video of Clark speaking into Taylor's ear during a Chiefs playoff game went viral. Well, it was clarified by Clark. All she was doing was describing a penalty flag. To be honest, all I was doing was explaining to her why they tossed a flag. It was straightforward, sweet, and completely typical, which is what made it so wonderful. To be honest, I'm rather knowledgeable about football, and I adore it. I was telling her, in the best possible way, why they threw a flag. I was just explaining stuff because she doesn't know much about it, and I don't even know everything, but it was enjoyable. Since Caitlin Clark makes headlines out even the most mundane events, I'm a huge Chiefs fan. She is one of the few athletes who can effortlessly blend pop culture with athletics, and she does it with complete poise. Clark is enjoying every odd, humorous, and fantastical aspect of her ascent. From performing in front of packed arenas to being carved out of butter at the Iowa State Fair, she even gushed like a Jordan about her white Nike soccer cleats from high school. That was our rival high school after all. We therefore performed at State. I received the Nike cleat. My cleat seemed so terrible to me. Every one of them was white. For example, yes, without a doubt. Yes, I adored soccer cleats. The same is true of basketball sneakers. She is unabashedly Iowa to the core, shamelessly confident on the court and uncensored on the microphone. To be clear though, this was more than simply a fun sit-down. It was a declaration. Clark no longer merely shows up for interviews. She's taking over the space, exposing lies, contesting authority while giggling at the commotion. She represents more than simply women's basketball. Her voice is becoming its most potent one. It was demonstrated in this interview. She is not here to be controlled, shaped, or silenced. Her name is Caitlin Clark, and she is just beginning her career. To show your appreciation for Caitlyn's candor, leave a comment with Clark Unfiltered if you're still watching. Which aspect of this interview was your favorite? You won't want to miss what Clark does next. So click the like button, subscribe for more, and watch the next video.